That's the yeah, there you go. Yeah. Hello. How y'all doing? We actually have a lot we're going to do today before we get around to the Bloodborne. We're talking to an IWW rep first, and after that we're going to be remastering the Politics 101 segment on account of public request. Well, that's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to that. One day you have to scream to start the stream. You know, I've thought about that, but it honestly feels like it would be way too mean to people, you know? Yeah. Jamie retweeted somebody who hates you. Well, Jamie doesn't like me, so it makes sense. Oh, wait, let me see. I'll see the context and let's go. Oh, this is that, I don't remember anything about this guy. This guy really doesn't like me, though. I think he's one of the people who calls me a pedo. I don't remember the, specifics, though. There we go. And he and Cormentine are doing a podcast with Jamie, formerly of Majority Report fame. And anyway, there were some people here in a subreddit talking about whether or not one of these guys is a black separatist. I don't know if Cormentine is a black separatist, but I mean, he's definitely adjacent to them. At the very least. Also, he really likes Marcus Garvey, who was a black separatist back in the early 20th century who got along great with the KKK. Because, believe it or not, the KKK likes it when black people also believe that black and white people can never get along together and they all want to leave for Africa. If you can believe it, they're actually okay with that kind of black activism, if you can call it that. Anyway, and then Jamie, in an infinite IQ response, says, "Black separatists famous for starting podcasts with white women." Damn, dude, this is unironically like a Nick Fuentes tier argument, dude. How can I be a Nazi? I'm a proud Afro-Latino American. Like this is on that tier, you know? This is how can I be a misogynist when I married a woman? This is how can I be a racist when my coworker is black? Like, that's on that tier. Actually, it literally is. How can I be racist when my coworker is black tier? So, yeah, anyway. Yeah, I'm trans. How can I be a Nazi? Yeah. Did you hear about Milo Yiannopoulos deciding not to be gay anymore? Yeah, you know, finally, good. Man chose the life of non-degeneracy, taking the straight pill. That's what I like to see, people. We could all learn from that example. Anyway, let's call a person. Excuse me. All right, do you want to talk about this? What is this? The person saying that they used to be a Nazi and now aren't? No, what is there to talk about? Look, as long as stuff like this gets this type of feedback from the left, we're like doomed to lose right here. Everyone sucked when they were teenagers. Forgive yourself. True, I was a Nazi. I'm so much better now. A lot of the people who get into being like Nazis when they're teenagers are usually groomed into it. Like they usually just fall into the wrong internet circles, and older, more predatory people who have like a really strong political agenda try to pull them over. Like Steve Bannon was doing this en masse. This is a really common pattern. Usually people who enter the far right at a young age are basically groomed into it. But anyway, lefty's gonna lefty. Everyone's quote tweeting and saying, nope, once a Nazi, always a Nazi, you subhuman piece of shit, fuck you. Yeah, we're gonna kill you, fuck you, yeah. And I respond to it at some point saying like what I just said to you guys, and people just said, haha, you're a groomer, so you would know. So that's the discourse today. All right. That's what we're getting. Of course, most of the people who jumped in to call me a groomer were people who were themselves Nazis, so they were probably projecting and didn't want to admit that they were only made Nazis because they got groomed into it. So, you know. What is this? Okay, this is the last stupid fucking tweet that I'm looking at. Oh, well, welcome over, Lina Lux. I don't know if Mel's vague posting about me either way. Cis people cross-dressing. Wait, what is the tweet? There are cis men dressing up as trans women to prove trans women are men. Okay, that's like Steven Crowder, because that's what he did. There are cis men dressing up like women, catgirls, or in drag to defend trans women in online debates. Can both of them not exist anymore, please? What? Wait, Wait, do we mean cross-dressing? Wait, does that mean men can't cross-dress? I don't know. Thank you, Based Fashi and Chad. STL cross-dresses? Good. Fine. Good. Cis men who dress up in cat ears and yell trans rights are not any more woke than those who vote Republican. Sometimes it's so jarring. What is she saying here? What? Okay, I don't know. I don't hold Mel in high regard, so, you know. All right. Ears up, people. Pay attention. What's wrong with cat boys? There's something wrong with Mel. All right. Good evening.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing wonderfully. I was worried about your mic quality, but you sound great. How you doing?
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I've never used Discord before, just to this weekend. I'm an old man, you know. I just turned 31 today, so.
Well, you're nailing it so far. You're really riding with the kids, so, you know? I'm proud of you.
Them kids in their rock and roll music. Hopefully I'll groove with it.
All right, well, please introduce yourself to the class and let us know what you're about.
So my name is my name is Michael. I am an officer with the IWW, the Industrial Workers of the World, but my handle I'm talking with you is Hot Cow, so you can refer to me as that because I heard you had a contentious talk with another Mike yesterday. It's from a certain state.
Yeah, let's not cross the wires. We'll call you Hot Cow for now, okay?
That's fine. So yeah, I am an officer in the IWW here in Connecticut. This is my second year as the branch secretary treasurer. So for those unfamiliar, the IWW was formed in 1905. It's a radical labor union, very democratic, and the idea behind it was against craft unionism. So people would organize by trade and by craft, when everyone in a certain industry should all be organizing together. Like a big problem would be, say, if you're organizing at a school and yet the janitors and the cafeteria workers aren't in the same union as the teachers, even though they're all working for the same boss.
Mm-hmm. Which obviously damages collective bargaining opportunities.
Exactly. And of course, every different job within that branch is going to have different issues, but you can build up that solidarity, and it makes it a lot easier, especially like, say, a factory. The engineers, everyone on the shop floor, the receptionists, they're all dealing with the same boss.
They have a collective interest. The biggest interest, in fact, is the one that they share. It reminds me of back during the turn of the 20th century, how a lot of labor unions would exclude black workers at the factories they participated in. And of course, what that would mean is that anytime there was a general strike, black people wouldn't get in on it, because why would they? There was no union representing them. There was nothing in it for them.
Exactly. I mean, that's one thing the IWW was open to. Black workers, they organized black workers. They organized a lot of immigrant workers. They have, in Connecticut, there's an old hall in the town of Brooklyn, Connecticut, way in like a forgotten corner, and it's the Finnish IWW hall. There were enough Finnish immigrants to justify their own hall for the IWW. So they would go around and they would say, okay, you know enough English, you will translate our message into this language so that it's going to be easier for, say, the Armenian immigrants or the Polish immigrants, the Yiddish. So there were countless things like that, and it was open to women. It didn't exclude women. And again, Lucy Parsons, famous anarchist whose husband was killed and framed for the Haymarket affair, she was one of the founders of the IWW. And
do you think that in retrospect, the woman thing was a mistake? No, I'm pulling your leg. I'm sorry. I'm fucking with you. No. The IWW has a pretty sterling history when it comes to minority representation. It definitely surpassed many of the labor unions of its time back then. It's a shame that so many people think of the IWW as an antiquated organization.
Well, and we got hit hard with the Palmer raids. That first Red Square scare really fucked the IWW over, and we've kind of been recovering since that. But our numbers have been growing, and we've also been making sure constantly having every year. So we do everything as democratically as possible. So you run the branch with everyone else. So our branch, we're actually meeting. The reason I can't actually talk to you tomorrow was I have a meeting tomorrow for our branch. And we get together, we go through Rusty's Rules of Order, we talk about the issues that we need to go through, we vote on them, and then those of us who are officers execute things. We have different committees and working groups.
Mm-hmm.
Once a year, we have a convention where everyone in certain areas are going to get together, and we will bring items up to convention, and we'll have delegates that'll be recallable and be reporting from their branches, and we will adjust what goes on, and then certain things will then be put to referendum for the whole union at large, and we get to decide those things. And what's great is if we put something in and we're like, actually, that was a mistake, next year or the next convention, we can change it. We're always willing to do that. And it's the way a union should be. But it's interesting because you have a lot of people who join and we're trying to get our branch to be rebuilt. There's actually a book about called Shoe Leather History. It's about the Wobblies in Connecticut, are way past history. And it's interesting because you have these people that join, and they join a lot of activist groups, and even a lot of people on the left, they don't know how democracy works. So they forget to take part in a group, and they get a bit shy. But I think sometimes that also causes people to say, oh, well, if we all vote for this candidate, they're super progressive, they're going to give us this. And it's like, well, that candidate is then going to have to deal with, oh yeah, Congress and this and that. And
yeah, this is one of my biggest frustrations with the left. It's that they don't seem to, well, not the left, but portions of the left, especially online, is that they seem to have no patience for understanding the way that power works and the way that power is applied. I think that, so for example, I think that a lot of lefties these days, if they imagine that if Bernie Sanders was president, like if everything else about the 2020 election had gone as it did, but it had been Bernie instead of Biden, that he would have just ushered in this new age of a socialist America. I don't think they recognize how many, well, essentially counterbalances there are to prevent such a thing. And those politics take effect even at a local level. A lot of people forget that fundamentally any political change, it begins at the base, the hearts and minds of the people who you're trying to win over. Even if you get one good guy in, that's not enough if they're going to be fighting against the perceived interests of their constituency, you know? Which is why it frustrates me that so many lefties, and this happens all the time, kind of sneer at some of the demographics that are most amenable to unionization. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and exactly. We the
amenable.
The
right.
branch, the union, we don't make political alliances.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't endorse candidates. There's actually a funny time a couple years back, some of the Green Party candidates in the state sent us like email of their websites, campaign websites, and we gave them like a review of like, that's a nice looking website, interesting thing. Oh, were you looking for an endorsement? Because we don't do that. And we keep telling you guys every election, stop asking for an endorsement. Because if you're constantly, and it's a good pitch thing to a lot of people who may be skeptical of unions, oh, I don't want my money going to a candidate. Well, it won't be. Like, we're going to be using that for on the ground organizing. And your money's not going to go to a candidate or a cause that you don't agree with because you're going to be part of this. So that's definitely going to help. And it just focuses on what we're doing. We're supposed to be organizing the working class. And then once we get that strength, you have the strength to actually, go on strike. Like our branches, we're rebuilding, still in the process of rebuilding. So, I don't ever say we support other activist groups with stuff, but we never go, okay, we're not going to make a promise that we can't really help. Like we can't shut down the entire manufacturing industry in Connecticut yet. So we don't, we try not to punch above our weight.
I've actually thought about that. I actually feel like that might be the correct way to go generally. I mean, think about it. If you're, let's say, a leftist or even just a really progressive, capitalist, a social democrat, you don't need the unions to tell you which candidate is good. If you're deciding Joe Biden, Bloomberg, Bernie Sanders, you should know. A passing familiarity with these candidates will be all you need. If anything, endorsements from union groups might only serve to further politicize those groups in the eyes of the general population, which is again unfortunate, because if we want unions to thrive in this country, we're going to need Republicans to be signing up for them too. But as long as Republicans are convinced that unions are some sort of satanic Democrat, cabal that festers on the teat of a benevolent corporation for the sole purpose of ruining lives, then that's never going to happen, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, people, you have this idea, and often, and look, I am not opposed. I'm not one of those people who say never vote, opposed to electoralism. I think harm reduction is important. There is nothing wrong with that. When someone recently asked me, they said, "What do you think of Joe Biden's labor plan?" And I said, if he gets a tenth of it done, that'll be great.
That would be nice.
It'll give us breathing room. And that's all, though. It's up to the unions to take advantage of that. That's all. And it's up to us to take advantage of that. But, our goal should be on getting the stuff done on the shop floor and getting people organized and saying, oh, this works. I can't get over, aside of this, I've been listening to the Revolutions podcast by Mike Duncan, and it's fantastic. I highly recommend it to everyone. And don't just skip to the lefty podcast, the lefty revolution. Start with the English Revolution and go all the way through, because you learn, and it's a very non-biased way to go about it. But they're right now at the 1905 Russian Revolution, and they're talking about how there was this strike that all the Marxists in Russia did not see coming. It surprised them, and they kept trying to interject and try to control it. And I've noticed that with a lot of some leftist political groups that often try to see, organizing struggles or other movements and try to jump in to utilize it for their own gain. And I think that's a lot of what a lot of politicians do, even with the Democrats. It's like, look, I'm glad you're passing it, pro-union bill, but I'm not going to have us be your pawn, because it gets you roped into something that...
Well, that's exactly what happened too with the American and French revolutions to an extent, right? You take this antagonism on the part of the working class, and it gets wrapped up and directed and used by usually a middle or upper class group of aristocrats or scholars, and they usually have the clout necessary to direct that antagonism towards some goal that is not at all in line with what the working class had originally wanted. I mean, here in America, for example, the American peasants or the colonists many of them were pretty amped up about the idea of, being autonomous from England, but they were doing so because they wanted political liberation. They wanted freedom. When in reality, really, all that meaningfully changed for the lives of many American colonists after the end of the Revolutionary War was a change in who they were paying taxes to. And that's about it. There were certain groups in the colonies, or now America, that paid less in total because they were no longer, a colony. But otherwise, a lot of that antagonism got redirected. And I worry there are lefties who have that attitude too. They look to control the working class rather than to be a part of working class liberation. I see this all the time. Oh, wait, actually, I've got a fairly contentious one, okay? I actually saw a lot of this from Bernie bros back during the 2020 election, who were angry that older black people weren't voting for Bernie Sanders. They were voting for Biden. Now, if you think about this for 10 seconds, there's a really good explanation for it. Bernie is more of a long shot. Biden was considered more of an established or safe candidate. And these older black folk, in many cases, have a very direct awareness of the consequences of continued Republican rule, so they're willing to stick with the safe bet. But there were some lefties online, anti-racist lefties, who were just seething about it. I mean, the common quote, I think, was like the uneducated voters or something like that. But there was a lot of really weird animosity that was being directed there, when the solution to that, isn't to get mad at people for acting out of their perceived best interest. It's to see what you can do to work with that, and if possible, show them the superiority of your ideas.
Yeah. Oh no, it's you got to understand why that's happening. And again, these are also partially these my personal thoughts too. Again, because the branch, we don't take a political stance, but like,
of course,
I was when Bernie ran again, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder to see how this is. And I kind of said to my friend, I said, I wonder how he's going to do against other Democrats who are not named Hillary Clinton. And it didn't, pan out. And I had a friend who was like, well, look at this. And New Hampshire, to me, I looked at the stats of New Hampshire and just like who voted for who and how it went. I was like, yeah, Bernie's the senator of the state next door. He won 60%, and now he's not doing as well. And as South Carolina became a huge thing, and instead of going, okay, why did older black voters, primarily older black voters who take part in the Democratic primary, why did they go for Biden? Well, let's look at this. Let's understand this. And instead, people get really pissed when something doesn't fit their narrative. I think that happens with tankies or Proud Boys. They get, or whatever you argue with.
Anyone, everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, they get so wrapped up of what's the narrative. Now, I think that's always something to talk to with people. Like, what is the narrative why do they want to believe something true? Like the narrative of capitalism, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know I don't accept it, but I know why part of me wants that narrative of if you work hard and are smart, you'll succeed. The reason part of me wants that to work is because I want the hardworking, intelligent people in my life who are going to start a business to succeed. But part of me knows that it's not going to work out for a lot of these people. But you have to understand, like, why does someone want that narrative to be true? And people, we like to project on people their savior socialism, like again with Sanders. We project something, we want that person to be like this, and anyone who's opposed to them is automatically a secret CIA shill or something like that. And it's like, okay, well, you may not have to agree with them, but at least understand there's some kind of nuance.
Yeah, and if you can't understand that nuance, you can't argue against it, Bernie Sanders did better back in 2016 than he did in 2020, and I think a lot of that was because things felt a little bit safer back then. It still seemed like Trump was a long shot. After 8 years of Obama, it felt like the country was a little more stable than it was after the Bush years, and people were willing to take a risk on somebody as radical as Bernie Sanders. After 4 years of Trump, a lot of Democrats are just desperate for anything that gives them a good shot at getting him out immediately. And they were sold the narrative that Biden is the most electable. And hell, maybe he was. But a lot of lefties, and this is what really frustrates me, they, rather than focusing on the critical issue here, which is how do we convince voters that Bernie Sanders is a good candidate, and I do love Bernie, I really, really do. Instead, it's this pathological obsession with grinding your teeth at the unfairness of the system, about how the DNC is corrupt and the media establishment is corrupt. And yeah, of course they are, obviously. We all know that. Manufacturing consent. We know that's the case. But if that's what you're focusing on, blaming institutions that are beyond the scope of your reach, that are beyond anything you're capable of addressing, then you can't do much except burn out. Whereas if you focus on the voters, you listen to their concerns, and you respond to them proportionally, I think you can get a lot more done that way. And that was how socialists used to work, too. Ye back 150 years ago, socialists were not running around screaming that people were CIA cucks for not voting for, Du Bois or whatever. They were, I think, a lot more committed to the grueling and often unrewarding process of engaging directly with the people who disagreed with them.
No, yeah, I mean, and so there's the toughest thing. I'll how to work to tie this back to the IWW and about organizing here is the toughest thing. Like I love to point out, people, and we also got to remember socialism isn't just like people all tie it to Marx, but there were tons of socialist thinkers before Marx, other socialist thinkers as well as him, like Bakunin, and then after him, Kropotkin, Bookchin, Abdullah Öcalan. Like it's very fun that people do, well, according to Marx, well, he's not the end all be all. And if you start treating him like that, you run into weird things. And I personally think a lot of what Bakunin called out against Marx's thought was sometimes pretty solid. But it's like, well, let's learn from these people. There's a lot more of this tradition to learn from, and different ways to go about it. And the IWW is very syndicalist in practice. The idea of let's organize industrially, let's get people organized, let's move.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
You have to talk to people. You have to learn how to talk to people. One of the biggest reasons tech is really hard to organize is there's a fantastic site called Organizing Work with some IWW members who it's interesting. They have wonderful discussions about what works with organizing, what doesn't. They say
Mhm.
the problem is it's really hard to talk to people. And it's scary. It's scary. Like, so one thing we do is one of the biggest things the IWD does is organizer training 101. Our branch actually has one coming up in April, and for our members, and we're trying to get it a rolling thing. I'm trying to be a trainer for trainers. So the idea is we do a thing called AEIOU. And I'm going to do a quick summary, but if you want to learn more, join the IWW and get yourself into training. But so AEIOU, first is agitate. Everyone can do that. Everyone loves to do that on the internet with all your spicy memes.
Mhm.
And where you people
We do
go,
love
this
the
is kind of-
spicy memes.
yeah, well, people go, this is messed up. We shouldn't, these hours suck. I hate the scheduling issues. Great, you agitate them. And sometimes a lot of people get stuck in that. So you got to move next step, educate. We could form a union. We could organize. We can start working at this. What if we start moving at this? And that's that next step.
Yeah,
Then you go in.
That's where we fail too, because agitation, lefties are great at. Lefties produce spectacular, phenomenal at. We do better. That liberals can't hold a candle to us at that. But then usually when it comes to the education bit, unionization gets mentioned, but the actual specifics of the practice are very, very rarely discussed, in part because it is complicated and it is contextual depending on where you work and the circumstances and blah, blah. But also, honestly, because I think a lot of that agitation is being done by 16-year-olds online. They can't engage with that process because they're not old enough to even be familiar with the workplace. To them, it's just an abstract, They know that when they graduate high school, they're going to have to get a job, and they fear that, and they hate that, and they should. I'm not saying that's wrong. But the specifics of dealing with that problem, it might elude them a little bit,
Yeah. And it's definitely something that it becomes an issue, but everyone can agitate. Like it's super easy. I mean, Bernie is a great agitator. And there's a lot of people that are great agitators and what they do, but we got to go to educate. Like, okay, there's a way out of this. And after educate, after you go, okay, this is the way we can go about it, we can organize, is inoculate. The boss is going to come down on us when they hear about it. So the easiest thing is when the IWW organizes, our main thing is we try to do this as secretly as possible. You never openly talk about it. You try not to bring attention to it. You highlight natural leaders and try to talk to them and get them on board and try to talk them outside of work. Because the goal is we want to kind of avoid a union election, which may seem really anti-democratic. But the idea is if you just get enough people to sign up, anyone can sign up. So if you're a member at your workplace and you get someone else to sign up and you guys can get 2 other people to sign up, you keep going, you can have a majority of the workplace already have red cards.
Yeah,
so
you don't want your boss to find out what you're doing until it's too late for them to do anything about it.
Yeah, and then by that time, they can't just say, oh, we'll have an election. They'll have to acknowledge your presence. So inoculation is, okay, what's going to happen? Here's the anti-union stuff. This is what bosses can do. Yes, union busting is illegal, but they still do it. These are how union busting law firms come. We sometimes, when we did the trainings in person, we did captive audience meetings, which were very fun. Because we would be a 2-day training and you'd come in the morning to do the training and suddenly you have this role play going on where you're stuck and you can't leave. And that happens to a lot of workers. So getting them like, this is prepped for what's going on. So a bit of inoculation. O is organize. Start forming your committee, getting more and more people in your workplace on board with the organizing committee and having them help you do that work of organizing. That's great because when you become a union and you're actually going for demands and you're getting stuff done, you're having meetings, you want to have practice doing that. You don't want to be like, okay, now we're a union, what do we do? You want to build that practice up. And then finally is either unity, push, union, public, is when you go public and you go off and you start making demands and achievable goals.
And I want to say, this is all incredibly difficult to do for a number of reasons. Not the least of which is that we have been conditioned to believe that this cannot work. The idea of worker disposability, the fact that we're all interchangeable cogs in a system that exists in a realm far beyond us, has been drilled into most people's heads so effectively that the idea of collective action to them just seems like a death sentence. Nobody likes their job, or at least very few people like their job. And I imagine that most people, on some level, do recognize that if they could bolster the leverage with which they're able to negotiate their salary and their terms of employment, that they would enjoy their job more. But the actual process of getting people to do that, taking that leap, it feels almost I think that for a lot of people, I imagine it almost feels like trying to step into a storybook. What they're trying to do is trying to pull a page out of history. They know that conceptually it can work, but in practice it feels antiquated and almost idealistic. But in reality, no, it does work. The propaganda's been effective, sure, but unionization, if it wasn't effective, then they wouldn't push so hard against it. That's the reason why Amazon has those anti-union adverts, those propaganda pamphlets stapled to the inside of their bathroom stalls. I mean, they are terrified of unionization. They have to be. And the fact that they're terrified is all the evidence you need to know that it's something that they not only fear but consider plausible. They know it's something that can be done.
Yeah. I mean, I love. Did you see the Onion? That Onion had an article of like they sent in a delivery drone to spy in on a union meeting.
No, I'm not familiar.
It was a parody article about that. But that is kind of like the depths Amazon would probably go.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. They drop the first the first like major bombing run conducted on US soil was against strike-breaking miners. It's people we have the powers that be have a very vested interest in making sure people don't unionize.
Yeah, so one thing so on that, so that's again, this is a really hard thing, and I'm lucky to a degree. I grew up in a small town here in New England, and we have things called town meetings, where we get to practice democracy, where we get together. Like, I knew people who were on the zoning board or the Parks and Rec board. That was part of my growing up. I'm a bit, privileged to that. And it's great is now when we interview new members and we have them join in, it's like, okay, getting in that practice of democracy, of how this takes place. And you go, okay, I can do this. This is something I can do. I can learn to do this, or I can take part in a committee. And that's got to build up the strength. And that's how we'll get to, what was it, last year? I think we had more calls for general strikes online than there were days in the year. And it's just very online leftists constantly saying, we're going to have a general strike. It's like, well, I love the idea, but we're a long way from that.
We're so far away from that. We are miles away from that. It's what that would actually lead to. Okay, it would be every always online lefty who can manage to hold down a job would participate in it. That would be about 0.5% of the workforce, and then they would all get fired because there wasn't nearly enough groundwork laid. And then nobody in the left has enough money to donate to candidates, and we sink socialism forever, and the fascists win. That's what'll happen.
Exactly. Well, yeah, no, it's the I like to call them the very online leftists or voles. But I don't like to verminize people. But they say, well, we should strike. It's like, well, how many of you are willing to literally walk out of your job? How many of you will have people leave with you from your workplace? How many of you have talked to your coworkers? And it's one of those things where
these people don't talk to their. Oh, no. And these people have social anxiety. They don't talk to their coworkers. Are you kidding me?
There's a big part of our training is let's practice one-on-ones. Let's practice talking to your coworker. And a lot of people that come in and they're all firebrand and ready to go, and then they start talking to their coworker, and we'll do a role play with them, and they're like, and they realize how hard it is. Now, of course, they start to gain the courage as the training's going on.
Yeah,
but it's hard, and learn to talk to them.
What if we? What So Marx was a guy. Yeah, I know. I can imagine it. I see people online. I can only imagine the kind of spectacular rhetorical skills they demonstrate when trying to do this sort of stuff in person.
Yeah.
Now,
and
I'm
learning,
really not trying to make fun of them, by the way. I just work needs to be put into this,
Yeah, no, and it's okay. We're not trying to step down and punch down upon people. And I know
I am. You're not. I accept responsibility for that. That was.
But it's scary. It's scary. You familiar with Michael Albert from Perrycon? He put forth the theory of participatory economics.
Yes, I'm familiar. I've seen lectures of his.
I was listening to him talk, and he was talking to this guy, and he goes, "Okay, you need to go to the sports bars and talk and organize people there." And one guy goes, "Well, those are the people who beat me up in high school." He goes, "Well, not everyone in the working class all doesn't go to that one grungy punk show. They go beyond that. So you have to build that stuff up, and it's hard, but it's necessary." And I like to point out people who are like, Oh, I support unions. Cool. What union you're part of? Well, I don't know. Not my workplace. Guess what? You may not be able to organize your workplace right away, but joining the IWW and getting in that work organizer training goes, okay, this will help me in other forms of activism, as well as there's going to be things that happen. So we have, as much as I can reveal, is we do have a few people who are looking into organizing the workplace and they're starting the first steps.
Yeah, the
So what the
so what you're saying is that IWW training will turn you into a Chad. That you'll walk that
yes,
you'll leave your workplace one afternoon, weak, limp-wristed, slump-shouldered, tired eyes, and you'll take your training course. The next day you'll come back 8 feet tall, absolute Chad bod, and you'll organize the workplace. Your boss won't even know it hit them.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
But you get that in and you start building that strength up, and so we're good planning things that we're discussing the rest of our branch who's not in a position to organize their workplace. So I'm in a machine shop and I'm the only one in the machine shop. I've successfully organized my workplace. I just look in the mirror for my branch meetings. But what's the rest of us going to do? So we have plans of, say, eventually, if one of these campaigns, when they go public, we'll be able to say, okay, do you guys need someone to help you buy groceries while you're on the picket line? Do you need someone who knows how to babysit to watch your kids while you're on the picket line so you feel safe? That support network that we can provide. And we always try to make sure that we're there kind of as advisors with the work branch that's doing it, but they're leading the charge. It's never some bureaucrat who's going to come in, because we want the people to, when the moment you feel that you can do this and you can create that democratic structure, it's a lot better. There was the DSA sent us a email, and they were talking about trying to organize an Amazon work warehouse in somewhere in the New England area, and we asked them, like, we have no one in the position who consult, where you would go to a workplace just to organize it, and we got no one who really can do that, but we kind of want to know what your strategy is, like what kind of training you're doing, what are you doing, and there was nothing. There was none of that training. It was the idea of, oh, we're going to go there and we're going to lead these people, as opposed to let's go and hear what their
Yeah,
concerns are and let them lead it.
community is key. That's one of the reasons why this has gotten harder. It's because of social atomization. 100 years ago, all these factory workers lived 6 family to an apartment in tenements that stacked up to the, to the low-hanging cloud of smog that hung over, Detroit. There was a greater opportunity for these people to collaborate, to cooperate, to coordinate. Whereas nowadays, there has been a social and political effort to atomize and individualize pretty much everyone in this country. People have fewer friends than they ever have before. People form relationships later, have children later, have fewer sexual and platonic partners. It's getting harder and harder to form bonds. But those bonds are necessary because, the whole logic here is apes together strong, right? You can't do this on your own. Even as an individual leader, it's all going to fall apart, no matter how convincing your rhetoric. If you go to the workplace and you're talking to 20, 25 coworkers who are, who just care about making it like day to day,
Yeah, and we also deal with a very weird time where a class is not perceived the way a lot of people might perceive it. You might have two people in one floor houses next door, just 2 bedrooms each, and one person works in a factory, and his next door neighbor, who he's best buddies with, runs a landscaping business. So suddenly you have one person's an employer for his business, and the other person's a worker who doesn't own the means of production, yet they see themselves on the same length. So we have all this other complicated stuff that goes into it. We have the cities, we have the towns. America's very unique. We also have the racial dimension, which compared to a lot of people in Europe, for the most part, this has changed the past 70 or so years.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, like those nations have been much more racially, ethnically, linguistically, spiritually homogeneous. So the moment it's like, though they did their imperialism and they're screwing over brown people far away from their home, as we were there and we're like, oh, we have to acknowledge these people exist and they're humans, and oh God, but there's all these different aspects to it. And understanding that, like understanding, hey, when there's a rule at work that's imposing certain hairstyles, that's screwing over your coworker who's black, although it might not affect you, and have those intersectional um, bonds being built, and realizing that that may not be aware to some people,
Yeah,
because
people
they go,
have to
well, I
work
just want to.
together on this, or
Yeah,
we're screwed. We learned those lessons again back when the unions wouldn't allow black people in. It doesn't benefit anybody. It hurts it's just universally to our detriment. But it's hard for some people to work past these really, really tribalistic perceptions of their relationship to the workplace. The idea that they should only be looking out for themselves. I mean, that's entrepreneur culture, right? That you the boss, you work really hard, you keep your nose to the grindstone, and you can make it yourself. And that didn't used to be as much of a thing. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not a historian, but I think, like, again, back in the ye old factories, I think most of those people realized they were going to die there. I feel like that was the general understanding. I don't think there was this widespread, pervasive myth that if these 6-year-olds at the textile factory, unclog the machines by shoving their hands into still moving gear shafts really, really well, that eventually they would own the factory. I feel like people understood their place back then. And not, I don't mean that's a good thing, but nowadays, we get those lies. The idea that, if a janitors really, really hard, maybe one day they'll own the place, which never happens. This never, ever happens. But as long as people are set on that mentality, they are disincentivized from cooperating with any of their coworkers who they see as competitors.
yeah, it's very, very changing world, of course. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's always was that mindset, and especially if you're coming over and you have all the immigrant labor that's coming over at that time, they were being put in the factories with everyone who spoke their own language. And they didn't know there was this lack of connection. They would be kind of segregated. Okay, we're going to keep the Armenians in their area and the Greeks over here and the Irish over here, and that was part of it. And it's trying to build those connections between different ethnicities and all that. And yeah, people would get stuck. They go, okay, this is what America is. And some people think that they work really hard, they'll get there, and they end up dying in a factory because they end up looking out for number one, as opposed to realizing that, as the song goes, the union makes us strong.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another thing, like constantly realizing that we had immigrants, people of color, women, people who all have varying education at the time. So it was like, well, how do we take all this stuff and relay it? So a lot of what the Wobblies did was music. All the IWW songs, specifically by Joe Hill, who was actually framed for murder in the state of Utah because he was writing songs like that, would take the hymn tunes and would rewrite them to make more sense because everyone knew them, and basically very simple of, hey, let's agitate people, or let's let people know that there's a union that you can join. And these helped build those connections. Like I just tell people, just because you're the most woke far left does not mean that everyone's going to listen to you. Especially if no
Often
offense,
they won't, because of the way they act,
if you keep using the word bourgeois and proletarian in a conversation, they're going to think you're just talking down to them. And if you say Marx, if you're lucky, they may think that you're talking about Groucho.
I'm always saying this, and I get made fun of for this, which is insane to me. It's like these people want the working class to wither and rot. But if the left wants to be relevant in the modern era, not even in the modern era, if the left wants to be as relevant today as the left was back in the 1910s and 20s, then they need to drop the absolute obsession with hyper-technical political terminology and theory that A, let's be real, they haven't read, and B, doesn't directly relate to the experiences of the modern working class. If you're very educated, and I mean properly, like college degree in humanities, then there's a decent chance that you'll be able to pick up Das Kapital and read through it and go like, yes, this all correlates directly to my lived experience as a member of the workplace. If you don't have that education, chances are fleeting, and that's not an insult. It's just really dense text and a lot to read, too, especially if you're a member of the working class. We're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages translated from a PhD philosopher who died, a long time ago. These concepts are, I'm sorry, I just want to finish. These concepts are important. These concepts are incredibly important to understand, but they are not the backbone of interacting with the working class, and they never have been. That's why they wrote the Communist Manifesto back in the day, because that was more accessible to the working class. It was easier to read, better related to their experiences. Even Marx understood that, factory workers weren't going to pick up capital and go like, oh yeah, of course, obviously,
Oh yeah, no, of course. And I'm sorry if it seemed like I was going to cut you off
No,
there.
no, no.
But no, you want, like, when I back before COVID, when I would go out and go places, I like to go to bars, and I would never sit there and I'm always terrified as if you talk to someone and then by the end of the conversation, like, they're totally radical. That scares me because that means they just want to attach to something. But when you get those gears turning, and I would never use, a lot of those words. I'd use words that like democracy, freedom, liberty, things like that. Especially in America, we have this long tradition of the Enlightenment ideals that really, like the American anarchists, which are a bit more individual anarchists, and all this is just building on top of. So you just appeal to that, and everyone in America who thinks this thinks, oh, that's what we were kind of brought up on. And you go, all right, let's play this up. Why can't you can vote your boss? How come you get to choose your president, but you don't have any voting power at work?
Economic democracy.
That's where you spend most of your time, right? And you just tie it into that, and that's language that people hear. And of course, sadly, after the Cold War, you say things like Marx or whatever, and they're going to think of the Soviet Union and all this other stuff, and you might lose people that way. You go, okay, let's go with democracy. Let's go with this. Let's take these words that are often used by, would say, a conservative might be trying to use, but you can say, no, let's talk about economic democracy, industrial democracy. You should have a say in your workplace to as much you're doing. It doesn't mean you get to tell the engineers what to do, but at least, you get to have some kind of control
Well,
over what
this
you're
isn't
doing.
what I do. I have always believed that if you're a good leftist or a good advocate for what we believe in, for working class emancipation, you should be able to sell almost everything that we believe in without it ever being evident that you're a leftist. If you're talking to a working class guy or girl or envy or whatever, and you're trying to you talk to them about unionization or solidarity or collective action, you should be able to deliver all of those ideas without ever adopting any of the aesthetic trappings of previous leftist movements. And you're going to need to do that too. That's how fascism succeeds in the United States. There are waves of fascist thought that come from just about every cultural trend that makes its way through this country. We have the most modern wave of prominently online fascists came from a goddamn video game journalism hubbub thing 7 years ago. They'll push themselves into anything and everything, and usually when they do, the people who get caught up in the wave don't know what they're a part of. But lefties are so loud. Everything has to be hammer and sickle this, Marx's face drawn on that. There's always this obsession with codifying, with giving the game away. But this doesn't have to be a partisan issue. And as long as it seems that it is, we can't win because we're never going to be able to outspend or outexpose hundreds of millions of dollars of corporate propaganda. As long as we're fighting against that, things are tough. But if we can just directly engage with these one-to-one, conversations, relay our ideas without making them part of some grand ideological struggle, even if you believe in that grand ideological struggle, as I do, I think you're going to get a lot more success.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Like, it's how do you make sure you don't give away, we got to signal everything. And it's like, we don't have to put Marx on everything. You don't have to treat him like he's some deity. You don't have to, like, the hammer and sickle isn't suddenly magically going to make you 20 times more leftist, like it's some weird Mario power up. What matters is the people, the connections you do. If you can get together with a bunch of like-minded people and start a mutual aid group or start a really, really free market which is a fantastic idea, something like that on the very libertarian side of socialism, you're building that connection up and you're building the connections with people, and it helps. I've always thought that people like the Green Party, if they ever wanted to fit with their principles, is what they should be doing is running for as many local elections as possible, showing that they can govern where people can see them, and also fighting to, against first past the post system, so it makes it easier for other parties to run, but actually showing that they can govern, saying, look at what we're doing, our principles, we put them in practice here where they matter. Local government really matters. Same thing with on the workplace. Those really matter. A lot of you come in and say, well, we got to control this and we got to, that doesn't work with a lot of people, but what happens on the shop floor and what happens in their town, that connects to people. And we got to start building on that and letting people know you can do this, you can take part, you have the ability to take part. The work is always, it's always harder than you want it to be, but it is easier than you fear. And it is something that we can do. I mean, that's why you talked about the American Revolution earlier. I see one of the great things about it is the reason it succeeded so much is they were already organized. Like most of the colonies were pretty much running themselves. There were committees of correspondence. They organized a Continental Congress. They were able to do that process. Now, yes, it was white men of property. Let's not hide that fact. But they were able to do that and then say, hey, we're going to secede from the British Empire and we're going to have a republic instead, was still extremely revolutionary because they were able to actually get that organization and do things on that smaller level. And that's what we need to do. And the IWW is a great way to do it. Again, I'm going to constantly say, if you want to get involved, join up. There are hopefully branches nearby you, and you can learn how to make a branch. I mean, I joined in like 2012, and I met up with some people, and a friend of mine had told me about the IWW. I learned about it. We got into it. We started talking. We started just being the Wobblies in Connecticut. And then a couple years back, we said, okay, we have enough people now. We're going to make an actual branch. We applied. We did the bylaws. And we're on a few years now. And we have new members joining and members who want to organize the workplace. We've got like a poster committee. But it's a union. So you got to step up and take part. But once you realize how these meetings go, you see Rusty's rules. It's democracy is so much easier, and you just put these rules in to make sure everyone's listened to. And you go, this isn't that hard. It's right there. You can start doing this. You don't have to wait for some magical candidate to win, and then suddenly make everything better.
And you can make friends there. I know you people are lonely. It's COVID. We're all, be careful with the in-person stuff, but organizing or even classes like these, just engaging with other like-minded people, phenomenal way to make friends and be social with others. I know that I met a lot of really cool people back when I was, hipping and hopping with the cool kids back in college for political reasons. And there's no reason you have to stop doing that once you're out of school. I'm loath to say it, but we're actually coming up on an hour. Is there a final topic that you want to hit on?
I'm trying to think. No, that's it for now. I mean, if you ever want, I'm always open. If you ever want to have me on again to talk, if you're debating a Proud Boy or Tanky and you're about to have an aneurysm and you need to tap out for a bit, you need someone to swing in, I'll keep them distracted for a bit for you.
Well, that'll be up to chat. We can actually have them decide. So chat, hypers if you want them to pop on from time to time, and Pepe Laugh if you want them to be executed at the end of this call, which of course they agreed to conditionally. Yeah, that's I'm seeing a couple of Pepe Laughs. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
The guillotine for me, I guess.
Yeah, we'll work out the details after it's all done. Seriously though, I really do appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for doing it on such short notice. And I was about to, head on out or leaving. I have a friend who's in my COVID bubble, so I go to his place and we Zoom to do a folk music shanty sing. And I was leaving his place and I saw your email. I was like, oh God.
I'm glad that for once I responded to an email in a timely manner. Have a wonderful evening.
Happened to be on my birthday. So.
Oh, and happy there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a good day. I got the email from you. My brother just had his first kid, so I got to hold my nephew yesterday. So, it was a good lineup. So, thank you for having me on.
Well, I hope that the streak continues for a bit and there are no tragedies in your immediate future. We'll see how the guillotine thing pans out.
Yeah.
Have a good day, okay?
You too.
All right, peace.
Peace.
That was super cool, actually. Guys, pretty high up in the bastometer. I wanted to have somebody from the IWW on for a while. Keep in mind, that's an org that you all can join. Seriously, you can go online and do it right now. The IWW is growing more relevant. It's not as relevant as it was during the 1920s, but it is growing more relevant. And frankly, organizations like the IWW are our best shot at direct action with regards to unionization for the immediate future. So you should get in on that. Vosh, I don't have a job. Well, unemployed people get a discount. They actually proportion the membership fees to how much you make, I think. Excuse me. I think it starts at $6 a month. Same for the DSA. Yeah, yeah. Whew. What about students? There's just go on the web. It's IWW. Just go look on the website. Jesus Christ! What do you just want me to read it out loud for you? We got stuff to do, folks. We've got Politics 101 to do, folks. Something that I'm actually really, really excited to get to. If you'll all have me. Quick meme. I love memes. Vosh, you remember? Let's just say yeah. You know, for the sake of argument, let's just say yeah. What if I'm a fascist? Well, give them your money anyway. Hey Vosh, can you talk about genital preference? Am I transphobic for hating vagina because my babysitter abused me when I was a child? You don't need abuse to justify genital preference. Genitals are generally a pretty big part of sex. If you have a preference for or against a particular set of them, that's fine. I think that's legitimate. That doesn't justify other forms of transphobia. It doesn't make anyone else less of a woman or a man. But yeah, yeah, we're not in the business of legitimizing far right fear mongering over here. Okay, you don't need to, you don't need to be like, am I a transphobe for not, for, no, it's okay. Why are you people? Wait, do you people disagree? With your I see some people oofing in chat. This actually, I actually think it's really shitty to say that somebody's transphobic for having genital preferences. I actually think that's really, really bad to say. We all, okay, so you didn't mean that. Okay, okay, the oof is because of the trauma. Okay, just making sure. Because yeah, no, I mean, we all have preferences for what types of people we're attracted to. Well, she said the opposite yesterday. No, I did not. I have at no point said that genital preferences are transphobic at all. Now, of course, you can have genital preferences and then go ahead and be transphobic anyway, but, you know. I mean, they're not mutually exclusive. What about gender preference? Are you asking me if it's sexist to be straight or gay? Come on. You just read the dumbest possible comments. Look, they stand out, okay? All right. Do we want to go over Politics 101? I'm actually like super hyped to talk about it. If we could do that, I think that'd be cool. With the prerequisite paint stream components, of course. As is known. Just a moment. Can you please make this as safe to work as possible? I just want to send this to my lib relatives. Yep. Yeah, don't worry. This is going to be a little different from my normal videos, so forgive me for that. So, sorry, that's the old video, which I'll show you in a second. Are you going to add more things compared to the last one? This, unless I am wildly overestimating my growth as a person, I have a feeling this will be vastly superior to the first one. Hey there, my name is Vosh, and I'm a political live streamer and YouTuber, and I'm a socialist as well, and I want you to know that because I think it's really important to be aware of any potential biases a person might have, especially if you're trying to get information from them. So that is my bias. I like things that are socialisty. A while back, and by a while back I mean nearly 2 years ago, I made a video called Politics 101 with Professor Vosh. I think it's a good video. It has 250,000 views, and many people have told me they liked it. I made the video in response to a growing demand from people who were saying that they didn't even know how to get started with getting involved in political stuff. it wasn't just that they had questions about a given policy or a given, issue or topic. It was that the whole subject of politics was a little bit foreign to them. So I made this video. It was unscripted, unedited, and 2.5 hours long. It's full of empty space, pauses, poor ideas, and the likewise. The only redeeming quality of this stream is the fact that this was the classic side view Vosh camera angle, which, as you can see, those were the days. But we've grown a little bit since then, and this right here is my attempt to remaster that old video. So without further ado, let's get started, okay? What are politics? That's not really rhetorical. Actually asking, what are politics? Why are politics important? Why do people focus on them so much? Why is this such a necessary and vital issue to so many people? Politics, that is to say, participation in political systems, is, at least in my opinion, one of the most important things any human being can do. I mean, that's right up there. Oh no, did chat freeze? Oh god. Aw, man. Nah, I'm not doing this with chat frozen. Are we being real right now? Are we doing another DDoS meme? Hold on. Fuck, now I'm gonna have to start again. I don't like edits. Hold on. That was very deliberate. So how are you all doing? You still have us, right? Yeah, sorry. No, we're not using YouTube chat. Nice try. What is the point of, what's the point of Cloudflare if we're still capable of being DDoSed? Isn't the point of the Cloudflare to prevent that? I guess we're getting a take 2. We'll see if it gets fixed, though. YouTube chat, in the meantime, how are you doing? YouTube chat has such a long delay to it, my god. Oh, there you are. Hello. Doing good? I'm happy to hear that. That's very nice. Yep, there's the error. Briefly back. Yeah, it's another DDoS. I need to learn how to work all this site stuff on my end. I genuinely have no idea. You all may be able to type in chat, but I can't even load it on my webpage. Are we going to edit this out? No, we're starting again if we're doing it. What's the point of editing out segments? I hate editing. Yeah, the site's still fucky just because a couple of people can type. Eh, well. Editing is cringe. Oh, editing is super cringe. Yeah. 100%. Yep, there it is again. Well, I'm not going anywhere. People in YouTube chat, make sure to donate to you know, pay me back for my suffering. I really appreciate it. That's the, that's how it works. That's only fair. I'm just chilling. Oh, we are getting YouTube donations. That's a thing. You should talk to Brett Keane. Maybe. You know, there are lots of people that I'd like to talk to. I can't even open the site. Yeah, that's what a DDoS does. That's the thing that it does. Vosh read donos. I can't. The site's down. Um, Sadahara, thank you for the very kind $10 and for the suffering remittance. Really appreciate that. Remittance? Repayment? Something. Yes. Debate my dad and if trans people are valid. I don't know if I'd be able to win them over on that, I'm afraid. But I see Kyle Kalinske invited Shu onto his show. Yeah, I hope she does well. Thank you, Full Moon, for the very kind $5 donation. I really appreciate that. YouTube chat is forming a union. I'm happy to hear that. Move to Twitch temporarily. Oh, God. You know, I could, but that wouldn't fix the website thing. That would just mean that I would have Twitch chat instead of YouTube chat to look at. Potato with the $5. What should a high school history textbook contain? I mean, it should contain quite a bit, shouldn't it? What do you mean? I think it should contain which high school class, 9th through 12th grade. I don't know. It should contain a lot, right? I think that it should probably, relative to the current subjects that it focuses on, I think it should do a little bit more to focus on international affairs, less time spent on World War II, maybe. And I think that it should focus a little bit more on ideologies and a little bit less on dates and, like, historical figures. Just memorizing dates and times and names doesn't teach you anything. You don't get anything from that. There's no learning being done there. It's just memorization. The real point in learning history is to familiarize yourselves with ideas and events that bear some relevance to what's happening right now. But you can't do that if you don't discuss ideology. You know, a lot of people these days don't even seem to understand, like, the ideology of the Nazi Party. Being informed the server is coming back up, so we'll see. What's probably going to happen is that the server's going to come back up, and then I'm going to try to do the thing again, and then it's going to get DDoSed again, and then I'm going to get very upset. So, we'll see. You think Trump will really run for the Senate in Alaska? What? Is that on the table? I don't think so. You ever going to go on Kyle's show? I would like to, yeah. Post-COVID, probably. Don't they do their stuff in person? You get YouTube chat on screen. It's just so ugly. So ugly. Well, Timmy, thanks for the $5. Maybe. Uber Scooper, thank you for the $5. Do you plan on talking to TJ or Paul anytime soon? I would like to talk to TJ. I thought that was in the works. As for Paul, though, I don't know. Dude, all he's done lately with regards to me is, like, interpret antagonism from random tweets of mine. It gets super, super angry at me. It's really fucking weird. Thanks, Relevant Millennial. Taking sociology next year and you're excited? Nice. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's YouTube chat that does the DDoS, because then they know what it means I have to pay attention to them. Boss, did your internet go or something? Hey, Rokird Ureb, if my internet went out, how on earth do you think you're seeing my live stream right now? No. Wait. Is it not a DDoS? Is it another server issue? This sure has been happening a lot lately. You know, I have to say, talking without having chat next to me is extraordinarily difficult. Oh, hello. Here, that's it. Cat content, okay? Get over here, dumb shit. Hey. I can talk to Artemy without chat. Look at this boy. Ooh. Hello. Ooh. Ooh. Ah. Ooh. Look that way. Look that way. No, look that way. Ooh, he's mad. There we go. Mwah. Mwah. Very good. Now go be free. Very, very good. You know, we also have Pigeon right there. I don't know if you can actually see her. Hold on. Well, I guess the thing I would need to do is remove the chat. No, you can't see her. Oh well. Just behind that wall. Just hiding behind it. Thoughts on Rokana going on Shapiro's show and defending $15 an hour minimum wage really well. Really impressed Destiny. Oh, no, I haven't seen this. I don't know. I finished the Vadim video yet? I will let you people know when I have finished the Vadim video, okay? I promise you. My God. Talk about dicks. You know, tempting as that would be. Oh, man, I just like talking to chat. You know, it's like a two-man act, and I'm the one guy, and chat collectively is the other person. I'll just remove that if it's being, you know, non-existent. And chat is collectively the other person. That's the fun bit right there, okay? That's what I like. But, you know, without the other person, a two-man comedy bit, it's not even a real thing, you know? Put us on your screen. There. Jesus. Congratulations, you're here. There we go. God, it's so ugly. Yep, have fun. Look at how ugly it is. Ugh, all the website design. Goodbye. Oh, right. I can't even have other pages up because it's a fucking window grab. Hold on. There we go. Do I even need to entertain you? I feel like YouTube chat is happy enough just seeing itself on screen. This must be a very, you know, very let it go moment for you guys, you know? Just do the segment without chat. I like chat. I want chat to be there. It's important to me. Not this chat, I'm sorry. I mean real chat. The actual chat, not this disgusting YouTube thing. Yeah, you have your fun. And that shows when I'm tagged, since it's just a grab from my window screen and not an actual proper bit of the HTML that's pulled. Yep. Yeah, you're all having fun.
Boss bad, boss bad, boss bad.
Oh, hey, it also means that if you donate, it shows up on stream twice. It'll pop up in YouTube chat, and then it'll show up as the gecko. See? Look at that. We're incentivizing, huh? There you go.
Boss bad. Boss bad, boss bad, boss
These
bad.
incentive structures. Thank you for $5. My dad thinks tankies are comrades that actually support communism. Do you agree with them? I mean, it depends on what you mean by tankies. When I say tanky, I'm almost categorically referring to people who are bad for communism. So, no, not in that case. Luis Guerrero, thank you for the $5. Yeah, YouTube Union has won. Can we see a lizard today? I don't know. Let's see if they're awake. Hey, Gex. How are you doing? Nah, it's too early. They're still sleepy. They might be out later in the stream though. Possibly, maybe.
Boss bad, boss bad, boss bad.
Sorry. Yeah, 100 gex time. I still haven't listened to 100 gex. I still don't know what that is. Some Zoomer music. We're degenerating now. See, this is what I mean about YouTube chat. We have spam protection in regular VGG chat, but not here. Nope, not here. Well. God.
Boss bad, boss bad.
If there was ever a time for an OK Buddy segment. Yeah, maybe I will. We'll see if this gets fixed in the next 5 minutes, and if it hasn't, then maybe we'll do that.
Boss bad, boss bad.
Or the tragedy of Pepe Le Pew. Yeah, the tragedy was that he couldn't get any, right?
Boss bad, boss bad, boss bad. Boss bad, boss bad, boss bad.
I see the chaos in Demon Mama's stream when she was covering your debate with Mike. Yeah, I saw Demon Mama put like 40,000 UI elements up. It was pretty cute.
Boss bad, boss bad, boss bad. Boss bad, boss bad, boss bad.
Lane Piers Morgan walk off, then quit his daytime show after a co-presenter berated him for his Meghan Markle stance. No, I'm afraid I'm not familiar with the specifics there. But I'm sure they're very funny, very spicy. Just use your Discord stream discussions chat. Oh, you know, that's actually not a bad idea. What are these degenerates up to? Discord stream discussion. I can't put that on screen, not without doing something, but at least Discord community is a little bit more discerning. Ah, there you are. Yeah, I see you people with your flushed to emote. How are you all doing? It's too bad. I was all hyped up for politics, but what are you gonna do, huh? Sometimes that's how life is.
Boss bad, boss bad, boss bad.
I'm glad you're all having fun. All right, Discord, how are we doing? Politics 101, more like Politics 404. Very true. Very, very true. Please look at this link. Oh, yeah, I heard about this. The Steven Crowder accusation. When I identified as a trans teenager, I was approached by Steven Crowder soliciting sex from me. I was 17. He offered me $1,000 and I couldn't turn it down. I was homeless and desperate. He has since told me he'd sue me if I spoke out and has slandered me to filth. Today, I speak my truth. Crowder is unapologetically hateful towards trans people, and that was prevalent in our experience together. It was the worst few minutes of my life. His disdain for trans women and women in general is dangerous. Hashtag Steven Crowder. Hashtag me too. Hashtag is not enough is enough. Well, hopefully something litigative happens there, if that actually is the case. Unfortunately, there's not really anything here to corroborate, so it's pretty difficult to know whether or not this is legitimate or sincere. I mean, you don't need like a story to convince me that Crowder's a rapist. I'll believe that at the drop of a hat. You don't like that's it's easy bit for me to be sold, but I wonder if there's any more to this. Like 2 tweets? Is there something more? What time was this? Or, you know, like I just want more information if it's true. That's all I'm asking, you know? I'm just wondering where the if there's more to dig into there, like any more information is provided to like corroborate that, then that could end up being the downfall of Crowder. Or at least something close to the downfall of Crowder, which would be pretty fucking cool, you know? Is there a single thing that you believed a year and a half ago that you haven't walked back entirely? I think I believe almost everything. I think that pretty much all the beliefs that I have today are the beliefs that I had a year and a half ago. What changes do you think I've demonstrated? Do you believe in mandatory education for children under communism? I think that children should have mandatory education no matter what. Usually when education is emancipation. If children aren't being educated, it's usually because their parents are crazy religious nutters or because their parents are having them work in coal mines at 12. I want kids to have an education. So communism or no communism. Yeah. Perspective philosophy changed my mind of you. You convinced me you're basically the Sargon of the left. I looked into that perspective philosophy guy and some of the claims that he was making, and that guy was like a fucking snake when he talked to me. He was amicable in person, but then he dropped all that when talking to Destiny, a person who he claimed to dislike more than me, and then ended up like misrepresenting my positions severely. Positions that I knew he understood previously because he said them to me when I was talking with him. So yeah, I don't know. That guy ended up being like a clout shark. What are you gonna do, huh? That's what I get for trusting a vegan. I hate that you guys can see which chat messages I'm looking at. Why do you dislike Lithuania? You know, I've always had a bias. What are you gonna do? Why didn't you post this vegan debate with you? Is it because you got dismantled? Because it was 2 hours and nothing changed. What do you mean? Well, people like that will always say that, you know? Ask Yourself also says that. Vosh, why won't you have the 6th vegan debate with me? Is it because you know I would own you the 6th time in a row? Like, they'll always do that. They'll always say that. Make you do my homework? Go do your fucking homework, okay? Oh god, it's so hard to read. Did I already miss the Politics 101 2021 edition? No, you didn't. Vosh Crowder has 5 million subs, so I think this story is important to bringing him down, considering he's the most popular conservative on YouTube. Yeah, you just need to know more. These tweets on their own aren't sufficient to, like, destroy a reputation. It would be like, let's take these claims or concerns seriously, and then, like, learn more about it, or if there's any litigative action, or if more can be fleshed out, or if you can corroborate dates and times and places. That kind of stuff is really, really important. Though I will say this much, though, I am not at all surprised by the idea that Crowder would be a chaser. You know, that would be extraordinarily, reasonable to me. Like that makes so much sense to me that Steven Crowder would be a chaser. The way he talks about trans people, the way he engages in performative cruelty about them, and then will also there'll be like reports from people who say, like, in private he actually doesn't hold these opinions about trans people. In private he actually, like, fucks trans people, that kind of thing. Hardcore chaser vibes. So Crowder sus. Well, yes, whoops, that's the other page. What kind of music are you into? You know, the good stuff. Same stuff's your mom into. That was lame. Don't follow up on that. That was lame. That was completely half-assed. I could have committed way harder to that. The idea of using it just to bring him down makes it look like we're using this person's story in bad faith. Crowder has a lawyer on retainer, and there's scant evidence. Need to be careful. Oh, well, Travis, to be fair, that is the reason why people care about this. The reason why people care about Me Too accusations against public figures is because they're interested in seeing if that allegation is, like, sufficient to take a person down, if it's legitimate. Some people don't even care if it's legitimate, but I mean, that's how it works, right? That's the reason why public figures have that, that anvil hanging over them. Didn't Blair White talk about Crowder not actually believing what he says about trans people on his show? Yes, Blair White did talk about that Steven Crowder is, at the very least, bisexual and has no actual personal or sexual problems with trans people. How do you speak so eloquently? You just do it for a while, my dude. Just keep doing it. How do you stay so well researched? Well, unfortunately, that would have been a component of the delightful Politics 101 segment that we're apparently not getting. Apparently it's some back-end thing. I don't know the specifics of it, but... Would I ever be interested in breaking down CGP Grey's Rules for Rulers video? I believe you disagree with a lot of the video, but I found it very enlightening. Oh, there's nothing really that wrong with the video. It's a slightly reductive perspective on how power works. There are just other perspectives, I think, that are a little bit more explanatory, and the narrative behind that, like, lens of analysis is, I mean, it's... You guys have seen the Rules for Rulers video, right? The underlying logic of that lens of analysis is basically that, like, things can't get any better. You know? The world is the way it is because power structures are just inherently corrupt, and the democracy is never really real. Like, you know, those I don't know. I think there's more to it than that. You know, just do the Politics 101 on Twitch. The issue isn't YouTube. The issue is the website. Will you ever talk to CGP Grey? Wouldn't that be up to CGP Grey, not me? CGP Grey is like 6 million YouTube subs. I have like 340,000. If I were ever to talk to CGP Grey, it would be at his behest, not mine. Would you ever talk to Joe Biden if you got the chance? I don't know. Ask him. Jesus. How do I beat the Radiance in Hollow Knight? Just keep at it. I believe in you. Okay.
Bosh bad. Bosh bad. Bosh bad.
Why can't you do the Politics 101 without chat? Because I like chat. Hold on. What's your opinion on the Final Fantasy remake? It looks like nobody... It looks like a lot of people were disappointed by it. I don't know. Remakes are overdone. I think that more AAA developer time and energy should be dedicated to making things that are new and interesting rather than trying to recapture people on a nostalgia cycle that they know will get them like guaranteed returns. That's capitalism. Hell. It looks like we're not going to get a quick fix. This may not even be a DDoS, and maybe some other issue.
Bosh bad.
Oh.
Bosh bad.
Yeah, so I'm being informed that it's not even a DDoS. That it's just a
Bosh
organic
bad. Bosh bad. Bosh bad.
issue with Linode. Linode? Something.
Bosh bad. Bosh bad. Bosh bad.
Do I even want to live stream if my chat's not going to be there next to me? Okay, buddy Ree, but chat won't even be next to me. Or right here. I don't think you guys understand how important my website is to me, okay? I don't think you understand. Bro, we're your chat too? No, it's so ugly. It blocks my hand. It does, there's, there's no auto mod to catch spam. There's no, it doesn't have emote stacking. It doesn't have the fresh emotes. It has people's real names. It doesn't have the sub things. It's you know, tomorrow night we're doing a live stream again. We're doing a politics panel. Let me see if I can what time is this again? It's going to be 9:15 p.m. EST. Ooh, that actually leaves me time to do the Politics 101 segment before that tomorrow. We could actually fit a lot of stuff in. Huh?
I think you should do the OK Play segment, but you could show the screen chat.
That's way too much effort.
We'll send them to Connor.
All right. All right, people. We've got a new solution. Wait, do I even want to end stream? Man, what a... If you make fun of me for being indecisive, then you're being ableist. I think it's an autism thing to not like it when plans change. Why don't you just live stream on Twitch so your chat looks good? I don't think you understand. Even if the chat looks good from Twitch, it's still not the website chat. It still doesn't have all my cool flourishes. Site stability has just not been very reliable lately, and I have no idea why. If you leave, I'm becoming a liberal. That is a tough one. You hate us that much that you would end stream? Yeah, I would actually. I love you all very much. You're beautiful people. I'll be here tomorrow, assuming the website works just fine tomorrow. But yeah, I am who I am. Go ahead. What you all need to do right now is you need to go ahead and you need to go watch Conyer, my lovely socialist femboy Latino any/all roommate. Okay.
Style. I want it to be long.
Literally.
Later on in
one
my
floor
life,
below
and
me,
blah blah
okay?
blah, some other parameters.
Look at this. Look at their nice functional website. Oh God! Can you imagine how cool it would be?
Wait, Vosh raid
have
incoming?
a functional website?
Wait, why?
Oh, that would be
barely
incredible.
He barely
Look
been
at that.
streaming.
Oh my God!
Is it
go
because
over there?
taking a
Fucking
shit?
flood. Go raid. Go be annoying.
Oh,
in
he's
their
looking at
Twitch.
me.
Twitch.tv/ConyersCC. Look, they
Goodbye.
anticipate it. See? Nope, they're kidding. It's not ending. They're trying to dissuade the
Just
evil.
kidding,
Nope, see, they're
Nog.
back. Okay, just go. Go.